Stories are with love and strength and faith. My name is Asadumibi, and every week I usually tell you a short story written by a Nigerian writer or author. But in celebration of the first year anniversary of this podcast, I'm launching Series Week, where I tell you stories over the course of 2 or 7 consecutive days. Basically, however long it takes to complete the story. Series Week will occur about once a quarter, and the stories featured will still be written by Nigerian writers and authors, and will either consist of a sequence of related episodes from one story or a set of stories linked by a common theme. That's the long and short of it. So without much ado, today's story is by Sophia Ajibola, and it is the concluding part of the story titled The Independence Walk. Catch up on yesterday's episode for the first half. Tammy woke up with a start. It was 4:59 a.m. She'd beat her alarm by a minute, but she was in a foul mood. She stood, stretched her legs, and walked to the reason she had woken up wanting to cry. She had chosen this still frame from the video they had taken in the bar the night tragedy struck. Although grainy, she'd had it blown up and hung on her wall. Her friends hadn't and still didn't understand why she chose this picture to pay homage. It was near impossible to make out anyone's features. As unclear as the picture was, she could feel him. His arms outstretched, his smile larger than life. She could feel his happiness that night, his excitement for the future, for the next phase of his life. And she could remember. She could remember the last kiss they shared. How much she'd loved him in that moment. And how much of that love she still carried in her now. In the year since he died, the rate of police brutality in Nigeria had worsened. What was once done secretly was now carried out in broad daylight. It was the effect of the government's mission to rid the world of the internet fraudsters, Yahoo boys. It meant that every youth in the country was a suspect and should be treated as such, and fighting back could cost you your life. It was wild how in a land riddled with poverty, terrorism, and other challenges, this was what the government chose to focus their ammunition on. Every day the list of victims, such as her boyfriend, grew. She'd watched video after video and heard tale upon tale of police beating up people, extorting them, unlawfully detaining people and seizing assets, harassing girls and killing people in cold blood on little more than a hunch and no concrete evidence of wrongdoing. It was now a crime to be perceived rich, to drive flashy cars or own the latest technology. Male youth were now tagged criminals because of how they chose to dress or wear their hair. Timmy had watched videos and heard tales until she was numb. Until she could watch a video and not relive the night her boyfriend had been violently ripped from the earth. Until she could walk past the policeman, a SARS agent, any member of the armed forces, without shaking with anxiety. Until that anxiety and fear gave way to anger that Nigerians had been forced to live as second-class citizens in their land. Anger that her neighbor had to cut off his dreads, pull off his earrings, and wear a wardrobe consisting of only long sleeves to hide his tattoos, just so he could walk the streets without being harassed. It was the 1st of October, the country's Independence Day. They were having a nationwide independence walk to demand their freedom to breathe, to live, to work, to own assets, freedom to dress as they saw fit. They were demanding a revolution. Temi was joining the walk. She was walking for herself. She was walking for her neighbor. But she was also walking for her boyfriend. His murder a proof of why this walk was necessary. Still looking at his picture, she whispered, "We move, Shina. Onward, forever." Sophia Ajibola is a writer who resides in Ibadan, Oyo State. Currently, she's a student studying computer science at university. You can read more of her work on Medium at Sophia Ajibola and connect with her on Twitter at Sophie_AT. Details and links will be in the episode description. If you've got a story you would like to be featured on this podcast, or a published book you want to make into an audiobook, send an email to info@osadumebi.com or send me a message at osadumebi on either Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or Twitter. I look forward to collaborating with you. And if you've enjoyed this week's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and tell a friend that stories are a good escape for a few minutes each week.